her to understand that in Minnesota, you leave the windows and the doors closed in the winter. And so to get her to understand that, I explained that every time that the door is open, there's money flowing out. And she totally got it. Now when I leave the door open, she goes, "Dad, you're letting out too much money."
Yeah, you let the money flow out.
Welcome to Hacking Business Technology, the show where our daughters keep us totally honest to reality. Mr. Hooper in the car, 2 daughters behind him even.
Yes. Road trip.
We're very family-oriented podcasters.
Yes. Hacking business technology is a family responsibility.
I guess so. Man, there's so many times where I reflect on the podcast name. More recently, because I think people might they might come to our podcast for the wrong reason if they're Googling, I'd like to hack some business technology. Like, think about that for a second. It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we're just trying to catch them. We're all CIA agents posing.
That's right.
Service management professionals. So we did actually have the wherewithal to set a podcast topic today. And I don't know exactly where. Did it come from something that someone said in a channel? I don't even remember.
I don't remember where it came up, but I like it.
Oh, she, of course I can say she because she's the only woman on our crew. But she posted about how Mailbox is closing, which is, I think if I remember correctly, that's Dropbox's mail solution.
Yeah.
Which, duh. You integrate with Gmail. Like, why would you try to compete with them then? Just partner. You got to partner and focus. You see this in your world. Do you see people needing to focus on a specific solution, getting really good at it, and then really just providing an API?
Yeah, it's actually an interesting topic right now because Gartner just put this study out saying how a lot of these ITSM players, the IT service and support management solutions, they're trying to be these platforms as a service and be service management for all these different departments. And basically it was a word of caution saying they're not cutting it, they're not doing it, right? It's not really working. I think it was, kind of geared towards the marketing of Sharewell and ServiceNow, and even to Landesk to some extent. We've also had that marketing. We offer HR, service management, blah blah blah. So I think, it is something that organizations do have to stop and focus. But internally, I'm almost saying the opposite a little bit. Like, let's not focus too much on being like ITIL compliant all the time or compatible. Or building out too much IT operation stuff. Let's focus on really strong platform capabilities and let other people who have domain expertise then focus on top of our tools. So we're launching a design store, which apps can be built on and things like that. So I don't know. Focus is relative, I guess.
Yeah, when I think about it, I think simplicity is good. We've always used this term, developing into a corner. And I think our experience in the ServiceNow world has really taught us that you can customize to a certain extent, but really at the end of the day, you may not be thinking ahead. You may be doing something today that will shoot you in the foot tomorrow, but you didn't realize it yesterday, so you planned for today and not tomorrow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think it's sort of, with all enterprise tools, you're going to get some flavor no matter what. There's going to be a niche. Even if you are ITIL compliant or whatever you want to call it, you're still going to, your incident process, for example, may follow some vendors' out-of-box incident process. And maybe not as you age, but maybe at the time of go live, or maybe even just part of implementation, because you need a starting point, even if it is just jot down the person's name assigned incident.
Right. Give me a unique number.
Yeah. Right. Well, no, that's too advanced. we don't need that. We don't need numbers. We just call it the exchange incident.
Right.
We didn't realize we needed to just throw that thing out. And so what I think is that comment that you made about platforming really hits home with me, specifically because that is kind of where that was ServiceNow's long-term vision in 2006 when Fred Luddy and team got started, was to build a platform. They just needed some business case to build a platform for, and it happened to be service management. I think that's not a coincidence given where most of those people were employed from. And then the idea was that they would have a platform at the end of it, and they do. But it's got a lot of flavor, a lot of ITSM flavor, actually, specifically. Right. And I think to build an open system that is flavorless, really, it takes vision. It takes a lot of experience in a lot of different industries, and it takes a lot of experience in a lot of different application mindsets. It would be helpful for you to understand modern data systems, and it would be helpful to understand modern UI elements, all the while understanding that your focus is on a platform and not on this secondary point, which happens to be a multi-million-dollar industry for you now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to even get that right. I mean, if you go back to our podcast and ITSM Weekly, we used to talk about whether ServiceNow was going to focus on a mobile app or not. And for the longest time, it was resisted. It was resisted by Fred himself. I think now they're coming to the grasp that, as players like a Sherwell, who has a very strong mobile app and is taking market share in the offline market or in the highly distributed mobile workforce, that will then say, oh, well, maybe that was a mistake. We should have focused on that.
Yeah, and I think something that happens fairly commonly is someone is your implementation person, whether it be on staff or third-party vendor or whatever it is. They get a taste for a specific middleware / admin / every component of a system to deliver a service. They sort of fall in love with specific aspects of it, and they either love it or they hate it or somewhere in between, or there's a spectrum of different judgments that they make on it. And I think the really good applications, people want to build more on it. They see the flexibility of it, and then they quickly want to develop second and third, tertiary use cases around what they're going to do with the platform.
Yeah, I think it comes down to reality that at some point in time, you have to make a gut decision. If you were making a decision technology-wise to go J2E versus .NET or LAMP stack or whatever it was, at some point, somewhere along the way, you made a gut decision, and now you have to live with the realities of that gut decision. You have to figure out what is the most important areas for us to continue to advance. I think the whole thing, like with microservices and DevOps, is everybody's realized that the monolithic systems put them in a box. It didn't allow them to be future-proofed, right? It kept them continually fixing legacy, continually in a legacy box. But now with microservices, if some things can stay legacy but other things can advance, those things can advance decoupled.
Yeah, it's this concept that we used to talk about, building your data to move. And we used to think about it in sort of like the heavy terms, like, if I'm building an ERP system, here's all my foundation data, and it's on these tables in this database. And we're building our data to move so that we can implement it in this system, and then later when we need to utilize it again, it's ready to go. We can use it in this system. What we really should have been thinking about is how to keep that data in one spot and talk to it a lot of different ways. Building your data to move used to mean huge uplifts. Now it really just means build it to move all the time.
Yeah, I think systems of records have become more complex with accessibility integration, and even now with microservices. I think and larger volumes of data, right? We have bigger data sets, data solutions. I don't know. I think the architect's job is much more harder to design for the future. It's like, what are you banking on? Where are you going to make your bets? I mean, right now it's very easy to bet on Docker, right? But in 2 years from now, you could say, oh, we should have waited for VMware to get their act together, and maybe that's what we should have done, right?
Which it sounds like they are getting their act together. I read an article about them doing cloud native now.
Yeah.
Or taking that direction anyway. We'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
I think that it kind of might suck a little, but I hope not.
The teams that should win don't always, right?
Man, yeah, because there's politics involved and there's market share involved, which has this strange influence on platforms. These people, the people who are heavily invested in VMware right now have a vested interest. They're invested, so they've got a vested interest in that not going anywhere, whether it be jobs or money or politics or whatever it is. But yeah, definitely pay attention. Try lots of different things and know what works and know what doesn't. I think EA, Enterprise Architecture, I love that you brought up that role. I think it lives more business end of things, don't you? Hey, Mark.
Hello, Mr. Kawasaki.
Hey.
So EA, my argument is that enterprise architecture shouldn't be in IT. They should be part of the business discussion, portfolio discussions, right?
I couldn't agree with you more. I was actually on the phone with a good friend of mine. She's head of enterprise architecture for probably one of the largest insurance companies here in the U.S. And we talked about roles and changing roles, and they're now going through a huge change within her organization. She was asking me what I thought about the future, and I said the BRM role, the business relationship management role, has finally kind of manifested itself to the point where that's where architects should be focused, because everything now is about digital transformation and digital optimization from a business perspective. So it's no longer about, hey, what are the SLAs of IT? It's what are the business opportunities to leverage our digital capital, digital strength. So if you're an architect, you can actually have a conversation with a fairly technical business owner about the digital capabilities you can have. So if you focused on that, I told her too to take a hard look at the open look at IT for IT. Because those two concepts, the BRM concept with IT for IT is a game changer.
Oh, who cares what framework it's in? It's just that it's a concept. We love it no matter where it came from. And I think different frameworks call it something different. Different people call it something different. Whether it's feedback loops, which is what I'm used to, just simple customer to developer feedback loops, or something like a BRM, or what we used to call BAs.
Right. But to me, it's just TOGAF is allowing us to move faster. So, because it's not really a framework, it's an architecture. So it's saying you can do whatever you want in these buckets, but these are the buckets you really need to think about and let them interop with it. And that allows more portability, that allows more scale at the right areas, I think.
Yeah, I do like it. It's hard to digest. And I think, gosh, who is it that's really picked it apart? Charlie Betts. I think it's him anyway.
Charles Betts, yeah.
He shared with me.
He's the one who taught me.
Oh no, it wasn't him. It was John Jasinski. He's actually a local guy, and he reps for Isaka hardcore, and so he's basically rebuilt a ton of TOGAF documentation and made it like quick reference guides and one-pagers, and oh my gosh, you could just eat it up, dude. Because I love the concept of TOGAF, that it's what I wanted ITIL to be. Like, here's all these different ways you can look at this specific thing. Now, try some, keep what works, and throw away what doesn't. It seems so basic, but we over-convoluted service management to make it more difficult.
Yeah. Mark Smalley said the exact same thing. It's what we wanted ITIL to be, but never turned into.
Yeah, I always imagined that we would be able to get to that point where lots of people, and I think we kind of came across this when we interviewed Axelos when they were buying ITIL from, and my assumption was that community side was going to be a place for people to share best practices and, hey, this is how we do incident management differently, and then you can read through those stories and actually like try out different things, and they just it's not it's a fizzle.
Well, let me go back to one thing you were saying about enterprise architecture and where it should lie. I think, to me, it depends on where your cloud strategy is placed as well, and where, if you're being a broker for the business in terms of cloud partnerships and that sort of a thing. Enterprise architecture doesn't always have visibility into the options that are available to the business if they're not helping that happen from the beginning. So that's one thing to keep in mind there, right?
Well,
So
I think that's what we're saying is that's what the problem is that if enterprise architecture sits at the IT level, it's
yeah,
already going to be too late. They're
yeah,
having a technical conversation with themselves.
hmm,
But to get your HR generalists and your finance generalists and your R&D people um, an understanding of where to explore and to bring stuff to you and actually partner with them, that conversation, it opens up, and then you're coming into the pipeline before it's too late.
yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
helping those technologists. I think
absolutely,
the problem is that you need oversight from a organizational perspective. How can we get these systems to talk together, and how do we make rational business decisions or rational technology decisions and rational business decisions? And getting those two in the same person is really rare.
yeah,
And that's the talent I think that a lot of people are looking for is someone who can innovate technically, but also work within enterprise restrictions, so that
mm,
you can still get stuff done, but do it right, so that you're not
yeah.
reworking it.
But I guess what I've seen a little bit of is sometimes an enterprise architecture type group will partner with one of the larger, more critical business units and then say that they've done it, and there's still not compliance across all the business units. And so there isn't kind of a holistic, what the type of governance that enterprise architecture could or was supposed to be. Maybe that's a separate problem, but I
Well,
have
you
some.
gotta you gotta blow them out of the water. If you're starting something like that, and people are looking for you, you need to hire dynamic people who
Yeah.
can put on a performance about technology and get people actually excited about stuff and have them
Mm,
talk about it. Because if you go into it thinking it's a meeting where you're just gonna brainstorm stuff, it's gonna fail. No one's
hmm,
gonna talk about it. They're gonna think that meeting sucked. They're gonna go
yeah.
back to their desk and forget about it. But if it's awesome and you blow them out of the water and you actually listen to them, or lo and behold, you bring some application developers with you and do a proof of concept right in front of them, they would be blown away. They would share it with their coworkers so fast
Yeah.
that your
I
head
think
would spin.
it goes back to what we talk about, and that's marketing. I mean, it has to be more of a campaign. If you have a full-blown campaign with its own branding and marketing, then it becomes a lot more valid even than policy.
Because it's what your competitors are doing.
Yeah.
And the business competition is so ruthless there too. Look at how many insurance companies can't grow because of their technology limitations.
I
I
can
was
only run
playing
one
golf with
quote every 3 hours. I can only run one quote.
yeah, yeah, it's so true. I was playing golf with a regional director who manages all the independent agents for a large insurance company, and I asked him, I said, how much does technology play into your success? He goes, it's vital. It's absolutely vital. Every time we release a new product that is so difficult, the agents go, I'm not selling that. You're out of your mind, right? So it's not only just the ability to get the technology out there, but then the user experience kind of comes into play just as far as how fast you can react to the market.
Yeah, those insurance companies, they're really funny too because most of the field agents are like contractors or franchisees or some sort of version of that. And so they can kind of just say yes or no. Like, you really get that customer experience when you work in an IT shop from those people, because they don't have to adopt. They don't have to buy in. Oh, love that stuff. How do I get you to say yes when you want to say no?
Yeah.
Tech is how you do it. Make it glorious. If you want to see a great user experience, download. It's $5, but my kids installed this game, Toca Blocks. No training. It's like IKEA for apps. No training. No words on the screen. No reading anything. You literally, like, to learn something new, it pops up on the screen and you have to, like, touch it and explore it to understand how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I talked about at ITSMF this year, was building service desk functionality into the app itself, building knowledge into the app, you know, and having those partnerships. I mean, that's true DevOps to me, is having service desk, the type of guidance that they already provide, brought into the development cycle so that they're actually building that stuff into the tool. That's the only way forward.
Make it delightful.
Yeah,
and if it's a mundane task, good luck.
Do you know Guy Kawasaki's book was all about that? You know, creating a delightful user experience, and it's really that. It's thinking, how do we keep this so stupid simple? And Mark, your presentation was awesome. I love the examples that you gave when you're having issues, or you know, the training that comes with new features popping up in the apps. It's so where we need to be at the enterprise level.
Well, I see that with Snapchat too, and the weird thing, you know, I watch my daughter; she's a heavy Snapchat user. You know, they're rolling out new features all the time, and they don't explain anything, and it's like you just start messing with the app until you figure it out, and you feel like something's wrong with you if you don't figure it out. It's not like this product doesn't work; it's I don't work. I don't know how they've come up with that dynamic, but it's pretty brilliant.
Well, and a lot of it's sort of like DevOps. You can't take, well, you can in some cases, but in most cases you can't take something with a massive amount of technical debt, something like an ERP platform, and just start modernizing it like that, because you're either gonna take away from performance, or there's gonna be limitations to your ability to change. There's gonna be limitations of program to be able to deliver that sort of content. And so you end up having to try it in other areas. It's sort of, when we're consulting with someone to embrace the concepts of agile or DevOps or whatever you want to call anything, just experimenting with how you deliver applications. Never do it with your core business. Start with this little subset over here. It's like manufacturing. You're not going to replace the entire manufacturing line for a new product. You're going to try it over there in that other spot, so that when this one sucks again, you can just burn it to the ground and move over there, and then build a new one over here when that one sucks. So, I think that's the problem that people come across. They say, our main problem is this. We can't make enough money because this system, this huge system, is killing us. We should innovate that first, and then that just cripples them because they're trying to boil the ocean. So don't do it. Plan ahead. Try it in something else first, and future-proof it. Or try to, anyway. And hire good, talented people that can build future-proof apps.
Yeah, don't overcommit to a single platform. That's what I would say as well too. You know, you have to keep it flexible. Try to keep it decoupled where you can, and you know, really think about disposable assets. What is disposable? Where are we going to make a commitment?
Disposable platforms. If you can't,
Absolutely.
If you can't get your data out in a massive dump, at least, yeah, you gotta build for the future. That's how you hack business technology. We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.